I'm gonna hit things from all angles. I mean, I'm pretty much measuring how things are looking in this reality that we're living in, if we want to call it reality, you know what I'm saying? But I'm making measures, just how I see things, all right? Because, for example, like I just watched the video where it was talking about, is AI bad, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, we always hear people say, this is the greatest time in history to be alive. If there's so many bad things happening, why is it the greatest time in history to be alive? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I think through all the bullshit and trauma is when you can start to have the most realizations. What happens when you're too comfortable with certain things? See, here's the thing. I start to sit back and I ask myself, how the hell did people back in the day with no computers and, you know, these little rabbit ear radios and, you know, TV stations where they only had a certain limited amount of channels, but they were basically not even clear, or to some extent, even before they had TVs, or, you know, let's say if it was a family that, because back then you watched the movie Back to the Future, they used Marty McFly was telling what would be his son, but in the future, you know, that he had 2 TVs, and then, you know, the little boy says, 2 TVs? Who has 2 TVs? Are you rich or something? You know what I'm saying? So let's say if it was a family who didn't even have enough money to have a TV. You get what I'm saying? And the reason I even mention all this is this. Think about what technology has done so far as you being able to research as easily as you do now by just Google searching something or finding deep research, you know what I'm saying, on many different avenues that the internet offers. However, you have to know how to ask the right questions. If you do not ask the right questions, then you will not get the right answers. That's the problem. You get what I'm saying? So right now, it is about being, as far as intellect goes, being smart enough to be able to ask the right questions. Okay? Because if you ask stupid questions, then Google will most likely give you stupid answers. Connecting with different people of like minds. Why is this important? Because the thing is, do you know, watching the video, I noticed how effective it is to actually build with somebody and connect. And they're not even like face to face. They're in different platforms, in different areas, you know what I'm saying? Yet they're able to build via the internet. Okay, so I'm gonna come out with a couple of ways as to why AI is actually not as bad as people think. You get what I'm saying? Because here's the thing though. If I ask Google, for example, what causes diabetes, you'll see a bunch of shit, different types of sugars to put people to sleep, is because the first thing that would pop out is sugar. You get what I'm saying? But in actuality, when you ask Google direct questions such as, does animal meat cause diabetes? Okay? Because you start to see how long something takes for the body to process, the insulin spiking, the chemistry that happens in the body when you put something so complex in the body. And we don't have to look at it just physically. We can look at this metaphysically as well. Because it's not just about the density or the complexity of the food, but it's the complexity, like the complexity, I'm talking about the molecules, the complex molecules it takes for the body to pull apart, to utilize this information. It takes days for it to go through your system. Let's talk about the complex emotions that you are inserting into the body. See, when you eat animal meat, for example, not only are you intaking the complex molecules, you're also taking in the complex emotions that's hard for the body to have to process. Now, the emotional part is something that where the whole concept of prayer came in. You know what I'm saying? Where you would transmute the energy, but overall, you would have to go through layers of this shit sometimes. And the fact that you know this makes it worse. Let's say if you're not even aware of this shit, you'll have a chemistry. But the fact that you know it, it's going to come down to you know better, you do better now. You know what I'm saying? Because if you eat it and you feel guilty, that's just adding a cherry to the fucking cake right there. You know what I'm saying? It's making it even worse. All right? So let's say, for example, you have the emotions of fear, stress, and terror. You know what I'm saying? Plus, who butchered the animal, you're also intaking that emotion. You don't know the mental state or the state of being that the slaughter man who slaughtered the animal was in. So you're intaking all this shit, aside from the complex molecules it takes for the body to pull apart. You get what I'm saying? So now, let's say, for example, Okay? Too much intellect can also fuck your magical path up as well, as far as how we look at this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you probably won't even be able to digest so much shit to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because of the mental state of being that you're in. So if you're in a certain mental state where you're closed-minded to the information, you're not even absorbing the nutrients yet. You're sitting there, right? Already in your mind debating certain things. So this is something to make sure you pay attention to when you're listening to something. That's why I fuck with Crumb TV. You know what I'm saying? That's why I couldn't remember the name. That's why I didn't mention the name, but now I know. Crumb TV. All right. I fuck with him because he talks about being a master student. You see, if I sit and watch a video, I'm going to make sure I am a master student because I am not there as the speaker. I am there as the listener. So my job is to listen. And the word listen is interchangeable with the word silent. Silent here, but silent in the mind so you can properly process the information. Do you know that this is why you have to be as present with your information as possible, but be also as present with your food as possible? That's why they tell you don't talk with your mouth full. It's the same thing. When you're listening, you're eating to information, you're listening to information. Don't talk with your mouth full, and don't talk with your mouth full in here either. Keep that shit shut. So instead of just hearing noise, you have to listen. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that I have definitely picked up along the way. Excuse me. So this is why I say, is AI bad? It's about how you utilize this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you see, back then when it was introduced, it was a lot more simple. You get what I'm saying? As far as like what we are, it's kind of like, I look at it like you intake simple sugars, the simple foods. You're intaking a download. The body processes the download and you are able to utilize it as information, right? Because it was a simple download. It didn't take a lot for the body to have to process that. Process it, okay? Now, it's also a higher vibrational food when you're eating something of nature, for example, when you grow your own food. It's got a high vibration, so you're already intaking something of a high vibe. Aside from that, you have to be in high vibes before you intake anything anyway, whether it be a low vibrational food or a higher vibrational food, because this is how you're receiving it. You get what I'm saying? So whenever you're listening to something, you are receiving it into your home. And it's no different than if I have my doors open, I'm going to receive my guests with love and good hospitality. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to receive my guests with a negative attitude. You get what I'm saying? Because what was the point of receiving that, the guests to begin with? You know what I'm saying? So AI, for example, has connected me with a lot of different people all around the world. I have made a good amount of money on the internet with my jobs and whatnot. But I feel like it's a very useful tool. Now, let me go into the area of why it's the greatest time in history to be alive, you see? Because even back in the day, let's say before technology was introduced, okay? Before this whole shit became a thing, you see, people were doing other things, meaning they were interacting with each other. They were more present with each other. So they weren't on their phones at the dinner table. Let's say it was just more of a natural state of being, but was it really as natural? Because they were still using language, they were still using logic. You get what I'm saying? And the more of that you use, let's say, because here's the thing though, how did they deliver messages from one person to another? Because we look at even like the history of like Pearl Harbor, where it was like sent by telegram, you know what I'm saying? With like tapping codes or whatnot. I forgot what that's called. I think it's called telegram. But do you notice how messages took a lot longer when it was used via technology? Now it's so quick. You get what I'm saying? But that was the merging process by what we were actually naturally able to do before, where we connected through frequencies. You see what I'm saying? Like we should be able to communicate with somebody no matter where they're at through frequencies. We should be able to visit anywhere on the planet by just basically, this is where we got astral projection or out of body. You know what I'm saying? All these things ended up atrophying because we started to rely more on these physical senses. We forgot that what we can actually really do. You see, even knowing and going back in time where our forefathers or our grandparents, right, they would give their children certain things like turpentine, you know what I'm saying, to get rid of parasites in their stomach. That's been completely shut off from present times. Now it's considered a toxin or a poison. You know what I'm saying? But this was a natural practice from back in the day. Castor oil, you know what I'm saying? Cod liver oil. Not the way it's processed nowadays, but just it's back in the day. This was more of a holistic, natural practice. Herbs were more used back in the day. You know what I'm saying? People knew how to work the land more efficiently. But the whole thing is, everything changed from nature, and I'm noticing more trees are getting knocked down, and you're basically getting buildings put up. You know what I'm saying? Now, we look at it as a good thing because we're opening up jobs and the economy moving. You get what I'm saying? But in actuality, you're actually like I made the video on tree hugging hippies. There is a chemistry when you are actually hugging a tree, but on a big scale, when you're around nature, it's just a different atmosphere than when you're in a city. You get what I'm saying? Full of different people, plus with all the pollution of the telephones, Wi-Fi, and all that. So yeah, there's pros and cons to all this shit. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, here's the thing though. Because we've gone so far backwards from our natural state of being, how do you know that the greatest moment in time to be alive is now? Because we can utilize the internet to help us remember who and what the fuck we actually are. How do you know it's just not an actual shortcut where we don't have to wait multiple lifetimes to figure this shit out? Because let's say, for example, technology didn't exist, but we were still living the same way we were back in the day, and we disconnected from what we actually naturally are because of language, because of the illusion of separation, not using our extrasensory perceptions and shit. Because think about this, back in the day, that's why witches were burned at the stake. That's why all these, magic was looked at as, why do you think religion was pushed on people back in the day? That was like the merging part. You get what I'm saying? That wasn't a very good moment to be alive, actually. You see, before that, we may have had the abilities that we are actually trying to acquire now. But the whole shit is that we relying, even though like we have the internet and whatnot, we're starting to come out with people intellectually coming on camera and pointing fingers at each other because they think they're conscious and woke. When in actuality, I think that's just further retarding the process. You know what I'm saying? Like, if look at quantum science. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look into quantum science, you'll see that it's basically an illusion of separation, but there's also that observer theory where the slit and particle experiment, where based on the observer, it is how these particles reacted. You know what I'm saying? Even though the observer wasn't physically doing it and they put a camera, it would still react as if it was being watched. You get what I'm saying? You collapse things into existence. Your life is created a certain way based on how you're perceiving it. You get what I'm saying? Because the crazy thing is that I moved down here to the South. You get what I'm saying? And I'm hearing a lot of people lately say, oh man, I've experienced so much racism and whatnot. But I feel that that's just what's been on their mind and what's been programmed from the time they were children. And that's what's on their mind. And that's what they pretty much look for. And that's what they get. See, I haven't experienced none of that. So let's say, for example, like I've mentioned in the previous videos, we talk about the multiverse and whatnot. Okay? We talk about multiple realities, the realm of infinite possibilities. Okay? However you want your reality to look, and if right now you feel it's unfavorable, okay, it's still going to be there. But once you change yourself, you change your life, you'll be in an alternate reality where that reality you were originally living in is still there. However, it is not it's not there for you anymore because you're no longer observing it or you're no longer looking for it. You get what I'm saying? So it's more or less like energy flows where attention goes, right? So there's people who start to war with each other. You get what I'm saying? The more you do that, okay, the more you're pushing yourself back and closing yourself off to where you're actually thinking you need to be at. And in actuality, all these things are just ideas, because a sickness to me is thinking you still have to do something. Every day waking up, you have to do so much. You have to just be. You know what I'm saying? And know about the energies at play. Use them to your advantage. And I watched a video by Dolo that made a lot of sense, bro. And that's why I resonate with what he says, because it's like he basically mentioned one thing that really stuck out to me. It's where my mind was at, literally. Like, you live life literally calculating things. You know what I'm saying? It's not where you're trying to think about how the future is going to be. You know what I'm saying? So you're basically being more in the present moment. So this is why I made the video before, okay, the previous video on shadow work, but I spoke about some sensitive topics that may be sensitive to some people because they still think they're black or they still think they're white. You get what I'm saying? So this is the whole thing, though. This is where I'm getting at, where if you don't know who and what you actually are, first, you should not be eating anything out here yet. You should not be indulging in anything if you don't even know what you are to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because all you're doing is feeding that unfavorable shit about you more and more and more the more you get in there. Because I noticed that there's things that can actually feed your soul and spirit, or they could just keep continuing to feed your ego. And the more you feed your ego, ain't no different than you just solidifying yourself here in this reality that we want to call reality, because you're just molded so much into these five senses. It's the same shit. Like, if you really sit down and thought about what happens if I die right now, you know what I'm saying? Are you really that attached to this physical vessel that you're in? Are you really that attached to your ideas and the intellect that you have about society? Are you really that attached about a certain income or a certain savior or a certain moment where you think that you're going to change things out here externally? Are you content with where you're at right now? Because the whole thing is that if you can sit here and say, man, if I died right now, I'd be completely okay. I'd be completely okay. Everything out here was just an experience. Or are you really, really attached to the ideas of what you think you are, of what you think is going on out here, of all the theories that you hear online, of the actual internet killing you or anything like that, or the vaccine? Are you really that attached to all that shit? Because this is the thing, though. Here's another trap. The people will now go and protest in the streets and riot and make a protest. And this is what it is. It's no different than just going to vote. You know what I'm saying? The outcome is already there. But in order for the game to exist, it needs your participation. So the fact that you can go vote, even though your votes don't matter, just the fact that you participated adds energy to that system. So if you add energy to an unfavorable idea of all these tools that you can utilize to your advantage, it's just what you'll empower with your energy and ideas about the attention you're putting into it. If I put out a video and you don't like it and you put a thumbs down, it's the same thing as a thumbs up. It's the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still an engagement. Like voting engagement. Participate. Partake. You're taking part in something. And that's not even you. All these things right here are just experiences. And when you go into a meditation and you start to have that separation moment where you become your spirit, like you become aware of it, and you are like literally like you don't have an idea for that split second of your body. Oh man, that's a fucking trip. Okay? So like if you died, how would you be okay? Would you be okay with your family where they're at right now? You see, that's why it's important to really think about these little things, like being as present as possible. Just say I love you to your family every moment you can. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is. What happens if you get into a fight and then you just happen to drop dead? Are you going to be okay with that? All these little things to just think about. The internet, okay? That's why I made the video, why you get censored. Okay? Why you get censored. Where's your mind at? Because a lot of people put out the info with fear of being censored. You get what I'm saying? On the contrary, there's people opening up new accounts, already prepping in case they get censored. Odyssey, and why would I do Odyssey? Listen, YouTube is my fucking wife, my second wife, if anything. And I ain't cheating on YouTube. So shout out to YouTube. I fucks with YouTube. Now, if YouTube one day wants to break up with me, then, you know what I'm saying? I gotta let it go. But as of now, YouTube is great. YouTube is fucking awesome. The growth of YouTube is YouTube is actually growing in actuality. All right? The stocks for YouTube are going up. This is the biggest platform. So there's a lot more people on it as well, which means that you'll be probably a little bit more lost in the mix. But then again, I've been flying stealth for a while. like a stealth fighter. I've been cloaked. You get what I'm saying? All by design. But I'm also really not worried about the amount of views. I'm worried about the quality of people that I have on my channel. I got pretty good quality people on this. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't care, because it's more or less, if I find unfavorable things about people, all right, it's just basically something that I can actually deal with in a couple of ways that would either favor me or not favor me. You get what I'm saying? The people actually don't exist. Okay? Put the energy where you want it. This is why they say be the change you want to see. You want to change the world? You got to change yourself first. Change your perception on shit. And listen, there was a lot of pretty good topics when I was watching that video on Crumb TV. You know what I'm saying? It was talking about, they talked a little section about health. They talked, and you know, I'll link the video in the description. So shout out to Crumb TV. You know what I'm saying? I don't really watch his channel that much. You know what I'm saying? Certain videos I do watch, and I mean, every time I go on his channel, I'm really never disappointed. You know what I'm saying? But this one happened to be something that I already spoke on in some of the videos. That's why as soon as I saw AI is AI bad, or why AI is bad, he titled it, I was like, oh, I gotta check this out, because I was just fucking talking about this. This shit was just on my mind. So a lot of the stuff they spoke on, some of them I was riding with, some of them I wasn't. But at the end of the day, it don't really matter. It really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I entertain it sometimes. It's just for the sport of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, listen, if somebody wants to fuck with me and I want to fuck with them back, for example, and I entertain it, it's for the sport of it. You get what I'm saying? That's all it's for. Entertainment. But you can always get a lot out of things. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, out of sports, some people are like, how you watch sports? Or UFC is particular, if two people are smashing. Look, you know, I watch that and I love it. That's my favorite sport, because it's the only sport I watch. But you know, I actually tie in a lot of the shit that happens there with my actual reality. Like, you get something out of everything that you watch. Everything. It don't matter what it is. There's movies I watch and I get something out of it. I decode movies. I decode fucking shit that happens in UFC and why it's happening, depending on the energies that are going on too. Goddamn you, I'm telling you, bro. This shit is, and I've made videos on it. You know what I'm saying? How the scripts are played out with like Tyron Woodley and shit, and when he fought Colby Covington. I mean, this shit is fucking entertaining, man. I'm telling you. So, but you got to know if I'm entertaining you or you entertaining it. You know what I'm saying? But, yo, yo, life is fun, bro. I'm telling you, life is fun. And when you start to figure shit out and you start to play with it in your actual, like, reality, to try to experiment, for them to become little experiences in your life, man, I'm telling you right now, life is fun. Life is fucking fun, all right? And I'm also not attached to it as well. So I'm cool with it. I'm very cool with it. Trust me, my relationship with life is fucking great. And I really think you should enjoy the time that you're here, because it is really the greatest moment to be alive. These technology, this whole shit, how do you know you ain't created just to put yourself here in a state to help you wake up, right? To help you remember who the fuck you are. You know what I'm saying? You use this shit to even listen to binaural beats and fucking meditation music. Fucking, I mentioned shit on brainwaves, but the camera's gonna cut off, so we'll talk soon.